Well, Eskom has announced the first of load shedding of 2024 will be implemented from today. And the utility blamed the need to reintroduce the power cuts after the nearly 3-week break on a setback in its planned maintenance efforts, with 3 generating units with a potential of 2.14 megawatts capacity not coming back online. Mr. Vally Padayachee, the chairman of the management committee of the NRS Association of South Africa and formerly an executive manager of Eskom and formerly a senior executive of City Power Johannesburg, is with us for more. Vally, compliments you and welcome. Talk to us about the impact of load shedding on municipalities, who we know are, of course, the biggest customers of Eskom on a collective.
Good evening and seasoned greetings to you, Alicia, and to your listeners. Let's hope that 2024 is a brighter year for all of us. And thank you very much for inviting me. I'm glad that you posed the question and you asked for the impact of the load shedding on municipalities, because we've tended to focus, and rightfully so, on the impact of load shedding on the industrials, commercials, businesses, and of course the residentials. And we tended to forget the impact on municipalities. And I also wear another hat. I'm also the strategic advisor to an organization called the AMEU, the Association of Municipal Electricity Utilities of Southern Africa, and we represent all the metros and units on the electricity side. Now, the municipality, just to get back to your point, people may not be aware, is Eskom's largest customer. In fact, by sales, the municipalities consume about 45% to 47% of Eskom's electrons, and so it's a large chunk of the cost of sales of a municipality. Now, the load shedding from 2008, which has obviously got worse and worse, has had a significant impact on the business of the municipalities. I mean, like Eskom, if the municipalities don't sell electricity, they don't execute on the constitutional mandate of service delivery. And more importantly, Alicia, they are unable to collect much needed revenues for their survival and to service their customers. So much so that municipalities are virtually resellers of Eskom.
All right. And Vally, I mean, yes, go ahead, Vally.
No, then I was going to say that the constant and erratic and high stages of load shedding of Eskom has exacerbated this. In other words, the municipalities don't have electricity at the peaking times where they make, let's call it money or the surplus, to sell. And hence, the majority of the municipalities, including some of the metros, are actually significantly cash-strapped at the moment. There's a fight for survival. And, you know, it's always commented in the media, and maybe rightfully so, that municipalities are owing Eskom about 70 billion rand.
Yeah.
I don't believe, yes. So the load shedding, the current load shedding, is exacerbating that and the ability of municipalities to pay.
And Vally, I mean, as part of that NMU body that you are part of, I mean, what data are you then in possession of when it comes to the municipal debt, as well as the ripple effect on single households as well as businesses? Talk to us about the impact thereof.
Okay, I mean, if you give me weeks and days, I can give you all the data that you want.
Briefly,
because we do have significant data. It's real-time data, and you can also access some data from National Treasury and NESA. So our data points to that municipalities, the majority of them, as I've said to you, are significantly cash-strapped, fight for survival. Many of them are virtual resellers, meaning that, and this is important, Alicia, I would argue that the majority of municipalities, some metros, if you look at their income statement, about 75% to 90% of the income statement goes towards purchasing electrons from Eskom, given Eskom's high cost of sales, which means that, Alicia, it leaves the municipal electricity utilities only about 25% to 10% of their operating budget to run the municipality, which is impossible virtually. And very quickly, I don't go to that detail, I'm of the opinion it's not the fault of the municipality that they can't pay out. It's the operating model of the municipalities that's no longer functional. And I would argue the same for Eskom. And government has to step in to rectify that operating model. It worked well in the past decades, but it no longer works well now. And government has to seriously step in to save the municipality because they do have a constitutional mandate of service delivery, Alicia.
All right, and Vally, I mean, give us an outlook for the first 3 months. We know that factories are still not wholly open, and already we are experiencing the first batch of load shedding blamed on 3 generating units not going back online. Talk to us about the outlook for the next 3 months.
Well, you say next 3 months. I'm of the opinion for the next 2 or 3 years, you'll still have load shedding, maybe at a lower level. But let me tell you, the outlook is that I was very, very surprised, and many of my colleagues were in the know, that we had this notice or alert yesterday from Eskom, vis-a-vis New Year's Day, that we are going to be load shedding. I mean, Eskom and kudos to Eskom and the ministry, we went through the middle of winter, and maybe this is from an NRS perspective, the other hat that I wear. We went through the middle of winter where we had a demand of 32 gigawatts, and we managed that very well. And then our average demand is 26 gigawatts. We managed that very well, right? Now we have a rock bottom demand of about 23 gigawatts, and yet we are load shedding at stages 2 and 3, which means that we cannot meet supply even at 23 gigawatts. And maybe it's a very important point, given my experience, significant experience, I am beginning to question now, and I say this in the most respectful terms, but as a professional and ethically, whether Eskom's, even with their best endeavors, whether their recovery plan, Eskom generation recovery plan, is it working? Does it need to be revisited? Whether the noble gesture of increasing their planned maintenance, which is about 8,000 megawatts now, although it was a noble gesture, good intention, but from experience, when you're going to do a proper planned maintenance, in fairness even to the contractors, you need at least 6 months, Alicia. You cannot pull off units and then say within a couple of weeks, maintain. Because this is the argument I made in my interviews last week.
Yes.
By doing that, you are probably putting in more risk onto the units because they could be improperly maintained. I don't talk for Eskom, but just my professional experience. And hence, I'm of the opinion, and even from Eskom's alert yesterday, they said 3 units could not be returned because they couldn't, it was late, they couldn't return it for maintenance. And there's 6 units that went off the grid, and there's, and as I say, the demand is 23 gigs. So I'm of the opinion that the Eskom's caught between a rock and a hard place. In other words, they want to maintain the coal-fired units, which they must do, because globally there are not only units that survive, but if they take off units for 6 months, the levels of load shedding will be further increased. So they're forced to go this route of shorter levels of maintenance. But unfortunately, as a professional, from experience, you cannot do that, Alicia.
All right, Vally, thank you so much, as always, for that informative update there. We're out of time, unfortunately. That is Mr. Vally Padayachee, NRS Association Chairman on Eskom. Destitute families